There is a space in my heart where I find the truth. I find me in you, a truth beyond what you may see now. But when we are one, we bring more good about. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah. There is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. I see with new eyes, allow and unfold, embrace and let go, trust the flow. There's a freedom in love when you follow your heart. Together we are stronger than we could ever be apart. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah. There is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. Breathe in and out, slowly feel all that's around you, all that you feel, all that you know. Let it go. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. Yeah, when we unite. Oh, we unite. Yeah, yeah, when we unite. Yeah, yeah. You are welcome here. Love is welcome here. Peace is welcome here. You are welcome here.
Yes, you are welcome here. Let me move this out of the way a little bit. You don't need to see all of that. Maybe I'll bring it up so you can hear me, though. That's important. Yeah, let's take a deep breath. It is an opportunity to reboot yourself, re-energize yourself, recharge yourself. Take another deep breath. When you do that, you really give yourself permission to hear differently, to see differently, to know differently, to align. Sometimes we want to know what's going to happen, and we don't get to know until we get there. However, when you think of taking a deep breath, you may not know what's going to happen, but you can align yourself with deep wisdom, divine intelligence, so that when you do get to wherever you're trying to get to, whether that is physically or in consciousness, you're aligned. Welcome, welcome, welcome on YouTube and Facebook. Life Coach Ade on Instagram, and the Being You podcast on Instagram, and wherever else you're hearing this, listening to this. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up. New Jace, my dear sister, Jackie's in the house, making herself known, and all the silent listeners. Silent listeners are those of you that listen, that maybe not say something in the chat room. Maybe you're moving around, maybe you're driving, maybe you're at work, maybe you're pretending you're working, but you're really listening, but you don't want people at work to know. It's all good. Thank you for being here. Thank you for saying yes. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, and good day to you, wherever you are in the world. It's funny, I thought about that the other day. I've been saying that for a long time, and I mean that. There's different time zones, right? So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, whatever you're going through and growing through, I welcome you. I stand with you. And I hold the vision of transformation, that you are able to find yourself, access something in you, something about you that supports you in transcending what you're dealing with, especially if it's challenging. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in to yourself, giving yourself permission to listen, and creating the space for transformation. I am Ade, your transformational beingness artist. Welcome to another episode of Ade Presents Being You, the journey back to you, the journey back to yourself. That's what it's about. Life is about returning to yourself. And when you try to be something that you are not, it will cause you all sorts of stress. No matter what it is, no matter what you're going through, no matter what it looks like, life is supporting you to return to you. And as you return to you and align with you, which is one of the reasons we take the deep breath, as you align with yourself, you realize that you are so much more. And from that place of moreness, from that place of being, that place of beingness, you get to release your inner splendor. You get to have different conversations. You get to shift the paradigm. You get to understand that you matter, that you're worthy. That if you never meditate ever again, if you never pray again, if you just do whatever you feel like doing, in this moment, I need you to understand you are worthy. You can't make worthiness happen. You can't earn it. You can't buy it. You can't whatever you want to do from it, with it. You're it. You're it. So the work really is recognizing what you're seeking, you already are. What you're seeking is already you. So you are it. How do you be it? You be it. You be it by doing it. And when you do it, you have it. If you know that you're loved, if you know that you're worthy, if you know that you're loved, if you know that you are living in trust, carry yourself as if that is true, because it is. And when you do that, because you carry yourself, you step into it, you're being it. When you do life from a place of worthiness, of trust, of abundance, you get to have more of it. We think we have to go outside to get it, but it is you. You are it. You are releasing it like an air freshener. You know those air freshener thing that you put on a timer, like 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 90 seconds again. You're here to go. And that is an inspiration, the breath of the divine that you're spraying out into the ethers. My brother, Reverend William, is in the house. Pocket learner. I like that. Pocket learner. I think I know who that is, but I can't remember who it is because you've been here before. But I'm going to investigate you because I like to do stuff like that. And from this place of worthiness, from this place of truth, we remind ourselves, Janelle. Nice to see you. Oh, wait, because your last name looks like somebody else who was in there. Hey, Pat, nice to see you. Thank you for being here. From this place of worthiness, from this place of aligning with deeper truth. That's what this show is about. This is what Being You is about. Being You is an invitation. Really is an invitation for you to look at yourself. Who am I? Ask yourself deeper questions. Who am I? It's not, I'm not even going to qualify that any other way. Ask yourself, who am I? How do you see yourself from your own perspective? Do you see yourself as someone who is faulty? Do you see yourself as someone who got issues? Greetings, Ambassador. Is that Amal? I think it is. How do you see yourself? It's one thing to be seen by others, but it's another thing for you to see yourself in an affirming way and recognize there's some places in you that needs work. But here's the thing. I'm telling you. Chew on this idea. I thought it was. Haven't seen you in a while. Chew on this idea. Imagine, just take a breath. And allow yourself for a moment to drop even deeper and entertain the spiritual truth that there is nothing wrong with you. Don't intellectualize. Don't say, yeah, no. In this moment, listen to this, practice this as if this is the first time you've heard that. Like, there's really nothing wrong with you. Your mind, your ego mind, your logical mind might be going, yeah, but just move your big butt out of the way. Even if you ain't that big, it's still in the way. As long as you find yourself saying, but don't, just for a minute. Now you can go back and say, all right, I did it. That's it, Andrea. I remember you now. Thank you very much for reminding me. Just for a moment so you can say that I did it. Just sit with there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with your creativity. There's nothing wrong with how you show up in the world. There's nothing wrong with your past. There's nothing wrong with your present. There's nothing wrong with your future. You are who? I want you to really feel perfection in a new way. Not an intellectual thing, that you're really perfect. That everything that you will ever wish to be, want to be, desire to be, you're already it. Everything that you've wanted to be, desire to be, hoping to be, you're already it. Just let that drop. Let it drop here. And not just here, but your whole body. It may be challenging for some. If you've allowed yourself to constantly keep judging yourself, picking yourself apart, pulling yourself apart, but now we just have this space. Now you can, like I said, you can go back to how you used to see yourself. I'm not attached, but for a moment, give yourself permission to catch a glimpse. That's part of surrender. What if I am all that I've wanted to be? I'm already that. What if I'm really successful? What if there is nothing that needs fixing? When you give yourself permission to see yourself like that, it's a whole new way of being. From that place, you look at the world, you ask yourself, how do you see the world? How do you see the world from the place and the space where you are? Where you are. Where are you? I'm just right here. But what does that mean? What, are you happy? You said, no, I'm just right here. I'm neutral. But you got to be feeling something. No, I'm right here. That's weird. Oh, well, okay, maybe. I am here to see the world from that neutral place, from the place of acceptance, from the place of embracing. It's a whole different way of looking at the world. And then you get to see this full, this whole you in the world. How does that show up? If you're showing up from this place that you're allowing yourself to catch in this moment and step into the world where you can look at warmongers, politicians, leaders, neighbors that gets on your nerves, neighbors that cook all kind of stuff, food that you don't like, smells that gets up your nerves. I was going to say something else. You could just move through and you are literally unbothered. You're bothered not because you're saying, I don't want to be bothered. It's because you're just not even vibrating at that frequency. Not because you're better than them, but you are not even, you're listening to a different broadcast that you can't even hear their station. And in that space, you can get to ask yourself, how do I see the world in me? Oh my God, I see the world as a safe place to be. It's a beautiful place to be. It's a place where I can create and live more. Wow, I get it. I understand. And in that place, you give yourself permission to say, I am here. You are really here. You are here right now. You can't be anywhere else but here. And because you're here, you might as well be present. You might as well be here. And bringing yourself to the present moment, sometimes it's an exercise where you just take a deep breath to bring yourself back. But in this moment, just don't worry about the next moment. I am here. I am present. I am now. When we give ourselves permission to enjoy, to embrace the truth about us, it changes us. It's almost like recharging your iPad, your phone, whatever you got. You're recharging yourself. When you don't feed yourself the spiritual, organic soul food, you're susceptible to all sorts of disease. That's right. Nothing is wrong. Siwa Kenti, nice to see you, my dear sister, all the way from Peru. If you are there, I'm guessing you are, making assumptions. That's surrender. Are you willing to surrender? I'm going too quick into surrender. I guess I'm not, because I've asked for guidance to be led. So, surrender. I'm going to give you some description, but think about surrender. Are you willing to surrender all the false stories you carried about yourself? The stories that you're not good enough, you're not as bad, you're quiet, but maybe you're not so quiet. You say you're quiet because you're trying to protect yourself. You don't want people to judge you. Are you just be willing to let go of the stories that are keeping you in hiding? And you don't have to show up the way I do. Of course, that's a no-brainer, right? But you get to show up the way you are meant to show up. That's surrender. So let's continue talking about surrender. This is season 4, episode 14, Tuesday. Today's Tuesday, April 12th, 2022. How are you all doing? Some of you are sharing how you're doing already, and I appreciate it. And I want to invite you. I'm going to do it every week, and I want to do it till it's automatic. Share the show. Like it, share it. Help the algorithm go, damn, people keep clicking their show. I need to pay attention. It has a mind of itself, It has a mind of its own. When you think of all the things in this world, I don't know where I'm going here, but I will. The algorithm. The algorithms is just consciousness. Howdy, my dear sister Dion. Nice to see you. It's just consciousness. It's the law of attraction. The more we focus on something, the more it expands. So when you're clicking on something, you're liking it. That's how things go viral. You share it, then the system is set up to spread it because everybody's interested. Twitter calls it trending. When we focus on what we want, when we focus on what we need, when we focus on what we desire, when we focus on love in a very practical way, there's nothing about love that's passive. Let me just get that straight right now. Let me make that very clear. Love is transformative. So when we focus on it, and love will pull you out of your mess. Love would say, nope, don't bring that over here. But in fact, bring it. Bring it. When you bring your stories, when you bring it, you need love to surrender. Because Blessings, Koali. Nice to see you. Love is a powerful force that reminds you you're good. Love reminds you that all is well. So when you operated from that place, love will even burn the people who try to take your loving for kindness. They will learn their lesson. When I say burn them, it doesn't mean they're going to die. But they'll recognize they came upon something. It's like, oof. They're either going to get mad or get to look at themselves differently. So when you to surrender, you're surrendering to the great I am. The great I am is love. The great I am is freedom. So when you're feeling something, when you're loving something, when you like it and share it, you're actually putting that out into the ethers. You see, you hear authors when they write a book, they say share and post and do all this. You put in your passion, your intent, your thoughts out there in the ethers. So that's a spiritual breakdown of why it's important to share shows. Everything starts in the spiritual realm. Everything. Part of what we're dealing with in society right now is this seems to be things are going up. Gas, petrol is going up. They're increasing everything, taxes. But for most of us, wages is not going up, which doesn't make any sense. That is just a reflection of those who have forgotten who they are. People who are so power hungry that believe the only way to survive is through money. And there are some people who believe that, and then they have the money and they don't have the survival skills. They don't feel that goodness. Then they end up doing things that make us go, why would they even do something like that? With all that money, we even buy into it. We say it's not our reality, but we buy into it. We can even let that go. People get to live their life the way they choose to live it. But when you choose to surrender to the divine intelligence in you, it's a whole different way of being. Okay. I'm looking for something I want to share here. I have some things I want, break down, just kind of start from the beginning. But we start from the beginning because I know that this show will always be what it needs to be. I know that everyone that is here because you were led here for whatever reason. And you're going to get exactly what you need. When it's time to go, you will know. When it's time to come back, you will know. Maybe you're going to keep coming back. Maybe you're going to go listen to the archive because there is no accident in God. It's a coincidence. Coincidences even. Like you got your incident going on over there. I got mine going on. You got yours. And we come together to cooperate. And it's like, oh my God, I needed to hear this. This was really good. I was just thinking that. I was just sharing that. This is how we amplify God. God is a power. God is a presence. It's not something outside of yourself. I don't believe. Some people do. It's not a man up there taking notes and going, you are just wasting your life. No! God is your life. God is your power and the presence that is moving you, guiding you, directing you. So when you surrender to it, you're surrendering to the God as you. I think I'm done with the show. That's pretty much it. But I know you guys want to hear some more. I feel like you do. Let me tell you real quick. Tomorrow, Ricky and I on Wednesdays. Wednesday in America, Thursdays in UK, 2 a.m. Ricky and I host a show, podcast called Soul Fulfilling. There will be no show tomorrow. We're taking a break, but we'll be back the week after that. So tomorrow, April 13th, 2022. So let's talk surrender. What I want to know is, share in the chat room, what does surrender mean to you? When you think of surrender, what does it mean to you? So you may say, I know spiritually what it means to me, but maybe also there's a part of you that thinks of surrender like giving up. I'm not trying to give it to you. I love that pocket learner, Andrea. Thank you very much. She said, I shared it, but some people don't yet recognize that they need to tune in. Oh, let's talk about that. When you think of all the great leaders, I love what you shared because that's the thing. We share it, and some of us are on the leading edge. But the more you share it, eventually people will catch it. They might catch it through memory from liking it or sharing it. It's like, this sounds good. But that's what we're here to do. What Andrea just did, it's like, I'm sharing it, but some people don't know they need to tune in. And they will tune in at the right time. So what does surrender mean to you? Share some thoughts on IG, YouTube, and Facebook. When you think of surrender, does it make you scared? Do you get nervous? What do you need to surrender to? Do you think you need to surrender to anything? Do you feel like you're in a place where, no, actually, right now, I don't surrender to nothing. I'm good. When you surrender, why? Why are you surrendering? Now, I'll give you a lot of questions now. Let's make this as you do, because it's, I like that, done but not finished. Ayana, I hear you. Yes, Ayana said, not trying to do it all by myself. I love the interactions. Just love it, love it, love it. I love, and I'm just going to speak this. I love the engagement that's happening with the show. It fills me. It's like a gift. You know, some people send donations. Some people send me notes and say, thank you for what you do. We appreciate it. And the interactions as well is the same. It's like, yes, let's have a conversation. I can have this conversation all by myself. I really can. But when I know how it's landing, what you're feeling, maybe you even have a pushback. You're like, say more about that. Something happens. We create something together. So I want to read some of the comments here. Oh, I love this. I'm so grateful. New Jace Jackie said, letting go of that which does not serve your highest good. Surrender. Done but not finished. I can't remember what I asked you that made you say that. Ayana, it's so nice to see you. William said, let go and let God handle it. Yes, indeed. I love what you said here, Pocket Learner, in the chat room. CEDE. How do you say that word? I've never heard of that before. But yield, yes, yield. I'm going to come back to that. Yield. Ooh, I'm excited. Dion said, releasing what is to the powers that be. Yes. Okay, so let me read. So according to dictionary.com, it says to yield to the possession or power of another, right? We don't want to do that. I ain't yielding to your power. Who do you think you are, right? To give up, as to giving up to the police. I surrender. You know, we do that. And they try, nice to see you. To give up to some influence, of course, an emotion. It's like, I'm going to read surrender from Rev D's, Reverend Deborah L. Johnson's definition, what she calls spirit definition. So spirit gives her this download, which those of you who have the sacred yes know about it and your deepest intent. And she also have what she calls a spirit download. From the download, she gets a definition of all the spiritual qualities. I'm going to read that in a minute. And I want to go back to some of the things that you all are posting in here. Let go and let God. Yield. Let go, let God. Yes. Yes. Okay, so I'm not feeling to go on that yet. Let me read the spirit definition. Surrender is where your release resides in my possibility. Surrender is where your release resides in my possibility. For those of you who don't know, the sacred yes, and which you won't see very well because of the light and his mind is well used. Letters from the Infinite, Volume 1 is the sacred yes, and Volume 2, Letters from the Infinite, is Volume 2. I invite you, if you don't have it, pick it up. Pick it up, open to a page. I read page 351 today. We talked about that last week with Rev D. And I just thought, let me go into it. It just lit me up. I've read it before, but it's like anything. When you hear truth, I'm trying to give you the correct name, the correct chapter. It's called I Am Always Begetting My Only Begotten. Say that fast 10,000 times or just 3 times. I am always begetting my only begotten. And it breaks down this whole idea. God so loved the world and gave his only begotten son. Jesus ain't the only one. And son in the Bible, I'm not going to go into that. S-O-N is not about gender. It's about consciousness. It is about the sun, the light in you, your soul of power. God is that. Can't help but give that, because God loves its creation so much that he passes his love on to you, not just one person. How did I get in there? Oh, okay. Spirit definition. I'm telling you. I caught something this morning and I'm just thinking if I should share it. Okay, yes, because it came up, so clearly I need to share it. It came up for me today to how do I say this without sounding like I'm punking out? This is more accurate actually. I got this impression, this inspiration that I will find so much joy in actually teaching out of this book. I don't know how it's going to be. I don't know when it's going to happen. But I remember when the inspiration came up, it felt good, because I'm telling you, at the risk of sounding like, you need Jesus, you need the Bible, at the risk of sounding like that, everybody doesn't need this, but if you do. You could be just reading the book. But for me, the downloads that Rev D received just speaks to my soul on such a deep level. So she gets spirit definitions of spiritual qualities for surrender. Surrender is where your release resides in my possibility. My who? Me? No. Me? No. God, the divine. Surrender is where your release, when you let go, when you surrender, that release resides in God's possibility, in God's truth. The possibility is the infinite combination of decisions that are part of the divine plan. I have to take this real slow. Surrender is where your release, when you say, okay, I'm releasing it. You know what? I'm going to yield to this infinite power, this divine intelligence, where your release resides in God's possibility. The infinite combination of decisions that are part of the divine plan. There is a divine plan for each and every one of us. There's a divine plan. You're part of it. And sometimes when we think of the divine plan, we think of something that's yet to happen. What is the plan for my life? It's really simple. And you may even find that it's boring or not exciting. The plan for your life is to show up fully as yourself. The plan for your life is to give yourself permission to express instead of depress. Pushing down your creativity, your love, your joy, your compassion, your thoughts, your voice. Express is to external, press it out. That's the plan. You are part of a master plan, of a divine plan. So when you release, like, I got to have it this way. It's got to be this way. I want this to happen. Why is that not happening? I want it to happen by this time. It's not happening by... Just release. Release it into God's possibility. The consciousness, the mindset is even beyond the mindset. The Christ consciousness, the divine intelligence that knows all, that resides in all. You allow this thing that you want so much. I remember when I found out that the only option I had was to come back to America from America. Come back to America from America? What did I just say? Yeah. Come back to the UK from America. I did not want to. I was trying to get an attorney. It was like, oh no. Y'all put me in here for almost 40 days. It ended up being 40 days and 40 nights. No, I'm staying in Atlanta. But when I realized, tried everything, and nope, we're sending your ass back. And I remember saying, okay, God, if coming back to the UK is what needs to happen, if that's the highest and best, I surrender. I surrender. Surrendering can be scary. I get it. I understand. Let me read some of the things that are in the chat room on IG. Hold on one second. So Anitra was here, or is still here. What did you ask me? Pat is my... Oh, you said I'm talking about your favorite. Surrender is your favorite topic. I get that. You can't grow without surrendering. Because even a seed has to surrender to the earth. He has to surrender to die. Pat said, I just got Facebook, Instagram, Meta, whatever their name is. They need to do something about this chat. It's not easy to read. Maybe because I need my glasses too. I just got the Sacred Yes a few months ago, but I haven't started reading it. You're going to hell. No, I'm kidding, right? There ain't no hell anyway. Open the book. Don't just buy it. Open it. Just open up to a page. Read a little section. All right. Yala recommends the Sacred. I'm telling you, if you want to get through all this foolishness that's happening, whether it's war, whether price increase, electricity going up in UK, they increase. Why am I sweating? Ooh, I'm on fire. Speaking of hell, it feels good in hell because I'm here loving myself. Anyway, over here, it went up 54%. How? What kind of government will allow that to happen to its citizens? What kind of countries will wait and say, oh, shoot, there's a war. We got to do some sanctions. You didn't know about that before? You're acting like it just came out of the blue? They don't know. It's okay. Or maybe they do know. Maybe they do know. But you know what? When our release resides in the possibility of God, we come up with new ways of interacting, new ways of living, new ways of showing up. It's so easy to talk about what's going on in the world and what's going on. This is really sad. Yes, you can do that. However, you can make yourself available for a divine idea because you know you're part of a divine plan. I said I was sweating. First I said to Pat that she's going to hell. And then I said I'm sweating. I don't even know why I'm sweating. So I said I must be in hell, and Dion said, I see your horns. I'm an Aries. Of course you see my horns. And Amara said they increased it here in California. And they don't increase wages. So the government increasing all this stuff, taxes and everything, right? But I don't even want to waste too much time talking about that, because you know what? New Jackie would always tell me, you were on fire. You were just fooled. Yes, I am that. Because when you align with the divine, you are always resourced. Always. Always. So because of the things, and in spite of the things that are happening right now, it's important for us to surrender. To surrender to how we see what is happening, to surrender to doing things differently, to surrender to the great I am. The great I am as you. When you take time to do your spiritual practice, that's a form of surrender. You think, oh my God, I don't have enough time. I can't meditate for 20 minutes. I can't meditate for 10 minutes. But you can surrender all of that, first of all, and say maybe for 5 minutes. That's surrender. You're yielding to the power that already exists. You're giving up your idea of what you think could happen or will happen, and you're allowing yourself to align with a bigger picture. Like I often say, well, I don't say it as much anymore, but when you align with the divine, you are stepping into your spiritual helicopter. You're now coming out of the forest and getting a helicopter so you can have a broader perspective. So imagine being in a helicopter looking down because you feel like you were lost when you're in the forest, when you're in nature. You're like, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where this path leads, but it feels good, but I'm kind of nervous. What if I get lost? And then you allow yourself to go into your spiritual helicopter. You allow yourself to align with your higher mind, with the divine mind, with the Christ consciousness. And in that moment, you get to realize, wait a minute. Oh my God, I'm seeing more views that I didn't even know. I'm seeing more possibilities. Actually, wait, I really don't even need that. I don't need to do that anymore. Wait, what if I do this? What if I go knock on my neighbor's door and just check on them? When you take time to be still and know God. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am is God in you as you. You will find out that there are many ways to deal with whatever you're dealing with. I'm dealing with something right now. My partner and I, and we're just saying, thy will be done. Thy will be done. When you surrender, as Pocket Learner just shared, when you surrender, you do not give them permission to steal your joy. You Cory Booker their ass. You're like, nobody. I'm not going to let anybody steal my joy. Your joy is your joy. And joy is not a Christian thing. It's not a religious thing. Joy is your birthright. Joy is what makes you come alive. In the Bible, it says the joy of the Lord is your strength, because when you're feeling joyful, you're strong. You're resilient. You can be joyful and still experience grief, because that joy is resourcing you. It's like you're feeling the pain, but the loving grandmother is embracing you. You're feeling the hug, you're feeling the heartbeat, but you're still feeling that pain. Sometimes the pain is emotional, sometimes it's physical, sometimes it's mental, sometimes it's psychological. But you're feeling the love of the grandmother, of your grandmother. You're feeling the love of your father, the love of your mother, the love of your best friend. Like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. But somehow their love allows you to release the pain. Because love is always saying, bring it to me, I got you. I am with you. I am with you. So surrender actually connects you with your joy. So I was saying earlier, when I said, okay, if going back to the UK, to the United Kingdom is the highest and best, I surrender. I just gave it up. And I started to have different perspectives. Like, wait a minute, these people made, like at this moment, have power over my physical freedom. They don't have the freedom, the true freedom, the freedom of my heart, of my mind, of my thoughts, of my soul. They don't have freedom. They can't restrict that freedom. I have it. It's mine. I felt energized. I walked around that detention center talking to people, not going around preaching or anything like that, but where there are places where we meet each other and we sit down waiting for them to do whatever they needed to do. And they'll start talking to me, where you from, as we do. And I start telling them. I remember a dude I was talking to, I think he was it from Congo? And he's been there 6 months. Like, it's ridiculous. I'm sure things are different. And when I say different, doesn't mean it's better. But I'm talking about my experience. And when I started talking to him, he said, I needed to hear that today. I mean, even when the broken English, he was like, I knew what he was saying. I needed to hear that today. Surrender to your gift. Surrender to why you're here, so that when you show up, somebody else will catch your light. And they may be working in these companies that are jacking things up. They may be the CEO or assistant or a secretary or whatever. And they go into the board meeting because they experienced you. They will pose a question to the people in the boardroom that makes even the smartest CEO go, we never quite thought about that. But I don't know if we can do that. And because somebody tapped in, one with God as a majority, and they asked a question or gave a suggestion, just because one person won't see doesn't mean other people won't catch it. Because sometimes all you need is just drop the idea. Just drop the idea in the midst of it. Sometimes people use the analogy of poison. Like, if I put a drop of poison in a cup of water, would you drink it? And you're going to say, just a little bit of poison. Of course you won't drink it. But you know what? Same thing is true for something that's liberated. A drop of a truth, of a thought, of an idea, of a wisdom that's liberating, just drop it in a glass. And every part of the cells in the human body will feel it. So much so that they may end up saying, we thought about that. That's not a great idea. What we're dealing with in the world is people have made money God. 100% truth at detention center with all these emojis like, what? Yes, it's a government. I call it my government retreat. It was challenging, it was hard, and it was also part of it's one of the best things that ever happened to me. I ain't trying to do it no more, but it gave me an opportunity, and on a daily basis, I had to surrender because I was like, what the am I doing in here? I don't belong in here. And those of you who've been listening to me, you've heard me say, and I remember hearing the spirit voice asking me when I said I don't belong in here, because I'm a life coach. I'm the spiritual teacher. I'm the healer. I help people. I don't belong in here. The spirit voice said, so do those people? Do they belong here? That was humbling. It's like, well, that's not what I'm saying, but that's you saying you don't belong here. Sometimes you're going to be led to a place that you would never, ever in a million years be willing to go to. Ricky Bias has a song, Wherever You Lead Me, out there in the lyrics, wherever you lead me, I will follow. Here it is. How can I serve today's sweet spirit? How can I serve? I'm not going to sing, but I'm trying to remember the lyrics, but I'm not going to do it because I can't do it without singing, and I'm not singing. But there's a part in the lyrics that say, wherever you lead me, I will follow. Wherever you sent me, I will go. It's not sent, but it's... And I'm telling you, while I was in that detention center, I was like, I don't know if I want to sing that song anymore. Wherever you lead me, I'll follow. But like a seed, as I said earlier, a seed has to surrender its life in order to bear fruit. Rev Delia and I were talking about that last week on the show. The seed will die. It will surrender to the moisture, to the soil, to nature. It would come undone for new life to come forth. Sometimes we want to escape we want to go from the fruit, from the seed to the fruit. We want to go from the caterpillar to the butterfly. No, it doesn't work that way. From an intellectual perspective, it's like we're trying to avoid pain. But for the caterpillar to be a butterfly, it gets to a stage where it dissolves completely. It becomes goo. There's a substance that everything dissolves, it dies. This past Sunday was Palm Sunday, and this coming Sunday is Easter Sunday, I think it is. Let me see. Yes, it is. Resurrection is a spiritual walk. Jesus is not the divine exception. Here's a divine example that in life, you're going to have to surrender. You're going to surrender to all the noise and the chatter. People say, don't do it. Why are you going over there? You just surrender. I am here, God. Use me. Substitute God for whatever you feel like substitute. The universe, I don't really care. Nothing. It doesn't matter to me if you don't believe in God. If you're listening, we definitely have something in common. But substitute it whatever feels right for you. I surrender. I'm going to get on this ass and humble myself. People may laugh at me. They might be yelling. But I know what is actually happening. I'm using my thoughts to support me in dying so I can resurrect, so I can be more, so I can express, so I can show up. There is no resurrection without a crucifixion. There is no resurrection without dying. And dying is not just about the physical death. It's about sometimes you got to die emotionally. Sometimes you got to die spiritually. Sometimes dying means I've been doing this for such a long time. I've invested time into it, but I'm feeling like it's time to do something else, but I'm scared. How would I know what to do? How would I eat? How am I going to earn a living? Oh my God, a new relationship. I don't really like this one, but I've been spending a lot of time. I'm going to stick with, surrender, yield to the great I am. Where in your life do you need to surrender? Yep, you Cory Booker their ass, that's for sure. Yeah, I was shining my light in the detention center, but there are times I forgot. And, people used to say to me in the detention center, oh my God, you're going to write a book, which I thought about this morning, so it's not surprising that's coming up. I'm still working on that. But there were times I was like, I don't want to fucking hear that. I want to get the hell out the book. Man, one of the lessons you won't always know what you're capable of doing until you find yourself in a situation where you have to source that from within you. Just when you say, I could never do that. When you find yourself in some situations, you find yourself doing that you thought you couldn't do, and you find that you actually have the resources to move through it. And I don't know. I don't think it's where you say, I got the resources. I meditate. There's something humbling about life when you give yourself over to life, where you are aware. Let me tell you what that looks like. You're aware what's happening. I woke up. That place was cold as hell, and they give you this little blanket. The food was horrible. Sometimes I didn't even know what it was. I'm picky about what I eat, but you know what? There's sometimes I make myself eat it. I couldn't even find, you couldn't ask them what's in there, but it was like, I wonder what I'm eating. But in that moment, that's what I had. I knew I could wake up every day to meditate. I knew I could wake up every day to journal. I had this little pencil. They give us this little pencil, and you have to keep asking for papers. And I keep asking, and people would say, "What are you writing? What are you writing?" They gave me a nickname. One guy used to call me Barack Obama, and then there was another name that they gave me because I'm taking notes. But I wasn't taking notes. I was having a conversation with God. I'm on the battlefield of my mind. I didn't know how long I was going to be in there for. I didn't even know I was going to be sharing this conversation. But I surrender. But every day, sometimes at night, I don't like my head to be cold. And the reason this is like this right now, because it looks good. No, not really, because it's not so cold in UK right now. So I have this little blanket over my head. It looked weird on a bunk bed, and just journaling, asking questions. There were times I was under that blanket and crying, like, how did I get here? Maybe I could have done something different. There were times I just didn't even know how I was going to make it through the next day. And it's like, cry out from the deepest part. I cried out from the deepest part of my being. And I'm thinking of Jesus. And if you think I'm comparing myself to Jesus, so be it. Yes, I am. Because we're all one with Jesus. Even Jesus said the things I did, you could do also. I ain't trying to do Bible studies because I'm not that kind of person. That's not my thing. But Jesus itself knows he's not just a divine exception. It's a divine example, reminding us when we tap into the Christ consciousness that you can do greater things. So for me, there were times when I'm like, I don't know I can do this, but I need your help. Jesus said, oh, Lord, I'm about to be crushed out. I know that, there's a resurrection around the corner, but if you can just move this bitter cup away from me, dear Lord, I don't think I can do it. Brother JC said, you know what? I just had a temporary spiritual amnesia. It's just temporary. Thy will be done. Thy will be done. You cultivate this process. You cultivate this mindset. You cultivate this consciousness. So for me, speaking of surrender, I guess I need to talk about that experience, some of it anyway. Like, I didn't know. Inside, I felt like I didn't have what I needed to be able to make it through the next day. There were times, not all the time, but there were times where I felt hopeless. Like, God, I need your help because I knew I needed to get out of this sane. I already had my first panic attack and I didn't know that's what it was. when you're shackled, your arm, my wrist, and my ankle and my wrist, in a van that's just got a little space. And I was first told, oh yeah, you were just claustrophobic. Something in me said, no, it's a little bit more than that. Until I saw another medical person. It's like, oh my God, you had a panic attack. I'm like, that's what it is? Space. I didn't know where I was going to be. I didn't know what was going to happen. What else are they going to ask us to do that might be too make me feel like it's too small, and they're not going to listen. So every moment I would say, God, I need your help. I need your help. Sometimes I'm sitting there chatting with the dudes. We're watching TV or something. And inside, I'm just crumbling. And there were days where I'm like, it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. There were days where people would say, so what is happening? And I can tell them what's happening. And other days, I couldn't tell them. I don't want to talk about it. I just want to get out of here. But I had to use the tools that I know I had. Spiritual quality. I'm connected to God. I'm not separate from God. It wasn't a punishment. It was just my experience for whatever reason. And sooner or later, maybe not. I was going to say I've been making lots of money from it, but maybe not. It's not even about that. Money will come anyway, and it always does when you recognize who you are in God. Because some of the things that we chase sometimes, we don't need. It just causes so much trouble. I saw something, on YouTube. This woman, she's a content creator. And so it's all about fashion and the things that she's doing. And she became a multimillionaire. And there was a video that I watched, like she's going back to a regular life, that being a millionaire just cost her so much. She said, I have 6 cars that I don't even use that I'm paying for. And other people are using the cars, like Maserati. She has all kinds of different cars that she doesn't use. She said, because it's living room, I got 2 kids, we only use one section. What's the point? Sometimes you need to experience it to know you don't need it. I'm not saying there's anything wrong about it. However, you realize that you are the source of your own supply. Not you, the human you, but the part of you that is aligned with the divine. When you are doing what you're here to do, sometimes it doesn't come in the form of money. It comes in the form of gift, and somebody showing up. It comes in the form of inspiration. Pocket Learner said, growth does not take place in comfort. Say that loud. Say that really loud for the people at the back. Every day, I had to use my tools. I did not have the luxury to pretend like I don't have time to meditate. I know I needed it for my own well-being to meditate and get still. Sometimes I get deep inspiration, like, oh, okay. And when I found out that I was going to be another extra 2 weeks, which I thought I was becoming the next few days, I was like, I don't want to be here. I remember talking to my former wife, and she was trying to calm me down. It's like, look at the perspective. Sometimes the things that we do to people that we say we love, man, it's just, ugh. Now, why that's it? Okay, so let me say it this way. She was trying to get me to see a different perspective. Like, at least now you know, because at one point I didn't know when I was going to be released. I had no idea. And then she was trying to help me see, like, now at least you know the time. It's just 2 weeks. And I just wanted to tell her to shut up. And it wouldn't have been nice. And just the thought of another 2 weeks in this place, I've been here for about over 2 weeks. I said, I don't want to be here. I want out. I want out. I'm around brothers and I'm at the phone and I'm crying and I'm trying to, like, come on, man up. I couldn't. And then she said to me, I understand. Maybe you want to call Rev D or Reverend Mary. Reverend Mary is another mentor of mine. I've interviewed her before, but Rev D, everybody knows Rev D. You should. If you don't, Google her. I just talked about it. She wrote the book. She downloaded The Sacred Yes. I spoke to Reverend Mary. I spoke to Rev D. And some of what they said, Ambassador has said it, but somehow I was able to hear it differently. Because we put filters on how we listen to people that we say we care about. We don't need to judge ourselves. It's just the way it is. Sometimes parents will say, I love you. It's like, you're just saying that, mom, because you're my mom. And then when somebody else say the same thing, like, oh my God, really? You think that? That's some of the things we got to give up. But truth is truth no matter what. And then when I finally allowed this truth to come through me, through other people, and I realized, I said, okay, this must mean that my work is not done. That my work is not done in here. I want to flash this. Mind Pro, Dr. Naeem Akbar. We must think beyond the crucifixion in order to be resurrected. We must think beyond the crucifixion in order to be resurrected. Sometimes we get so focused about being crucified that we don't see the resurrection that was happening. So I was so caught up in being crucified for having to be there another 2 weeks, I didn't see the blessing. And when I surrendered and say, okay, God, just thy will be done. And I got to talk to Rev D and Reverend Mary. What I realized, my job was not done in it. There's still something I needed to do. I don't know what it is. And when I sat down, it got very clear. I needed to confess some things, some secrets that I've been holding. You have to read about it in the book. And to 2 people. And I went over to the correction officers, got a little pen that you can use one time. And I got the pencil and I started to write, and I wrote letters. And oh my God, in writing that letter, what I will tell you, one of those letters was to my former wife. And at that time, our relationship, we weren't really, things were just like, I don't know if I really want to be in this relationship. Actually, no, I had said I didn't want to be in a relationship. So we'd had a disagreement. We weren't even talking at that moment. But she showed up. She was my connection to the outside world. And one of the secrets that I needed to share was with her. And I was writing it, telling her the whole story. And as I was writing the story, I was so afraid that, oh my God, dude, you're about to be in here alone, because then my mind is going to read it and she's going to say, really? Flip you. But you know what? I was willing to be crucified because I knew that I need to resurrect. I need to rise up. I need to rise from the ashes. And my life depended on telling that truth. It wasn't easy. I'm not going to tell you that I sat down and was like, oh my God, okay, I need to resurrect. It was not easy. It was the scariest thing, one of the scariest things I've ever done. Because basically I was giving up control. I was surrendering to the moment. I became clear later on. It took a while. But surrender is a daily practice. When you find yourself pushing and asking, why is this happening to me? Why is this not happening? Why? It just might be the right time to give it up. And when you give it up, it's not like, okay, God, go ahead and take it. You can do that too, because God is. God is. If you give it up and say, okay, God, I give up. I've tried everything. Things might shift. But the question is, did your mindset shift? Did you give it up because you felt like you've used all your tools? Or did you give it up? Did you yield to the great I am because you know that the way you're looking at it is limited and you need a broader perspective? You need to zoom out. I could do this, especially for those of you, you see me, you see stuff I probably don't want you to see, sitting down my throat, right? But if I zoom out, You have more pictures. So in life, sometimes we're so focused on the thing. I can't believe this is happening. Why is this happening to me? I've been trying everything. I've been praying for this. Things never work out for me. I never blah, 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 blah. And after a while, hopefully you get to a point when you say, you know what? I don't know the answer. I've tried everything. Because it doesn't matter if you reach out to God up front or on the back end. It helps to start with that. It's helped to start with thy will be done up front, so that as you navigate the journey, you are resourced by your intention. But sometimes we don't start with that. We think, oh, yeah, it's going to be hard and difficult, and and then later we'll give it up. It really doesn't matter, because either way, you're going to learn from both. You're going to learn the importance of staying aligned with the divine, or you're going to remember, like, that was tough, but I learned some lessons. My getting behind in the detention center could have somehow been avoided. However, it happened because it were things that I thought of in my head. It's like, how am I going to do this? It was relevant. My visa had expired and money was an issue. We started the process. Some of you already know this already, but we never completed it. And then when it was time and I was like, let's do it. Our relationship was in a different place. And it was kind of like, okay, it was just difficult. I had to face all of that. And yes, maybe it could have been different. Maybe. So I can beat myself up and say, I should have done the thing that I was thinking of doing, even though I was afraid. Maybe. But maybe that's exactly what my soul needed to break open, to crack open, to die, to learn something else about myself, to learn something else about truth, to create a space for me to be with people who can use what I have to say. Wherever you go, you're needed. You got something to offer. All right, let's see what's going on IG. Yeah, I had to set myself free. Yeah, it was my personal crucifixion. Pat was saying that's your personal. She said, let me read exactly what she said. Yes, that was your personal crucifixion. Powerful. Yeah, it was. When you surrender to the crucifixion that's about to happen, you can see it, you know it, and you choose to walk through it, you come out the other end different. The dude who got detained was not the one who came out. I mean, I grieved when I did come out, not just on that day, months and months later, maybe years later, 2018, November. Every now and then I still grieve because some of that action still affects some of the things I'm wanting to do that I think I can't do now. And I'm giving that up too. Just because I think I'm not able to do this thing that I want to do doesn't mean it can't be done. I don't need to limit the great I am. I don't need to limit God. But if you can walk through the fire, however you need to do that, and keep walking. So the fire sometimes could be like being in detention center. I'm like, I'm not trying to do that. But sometimes the fire could be you needing to ask somebody to get a ride to work with them because you ain't got money to buy gas. And you're too ashamed to even tell anybody that. It could be reaching out to an organization. It could be finally calling a therapist and saying you need counseling. It could be, the fire could be something in a relationship that is plaguing you, that you've been holding, and your partner saying, what's going on? And you're like, nothing. Why you keep asking me what's going on? Nothing. And then you realize you got to tell the truth. It's like, okay, can we talk? Can we talk? And when you give yourself the permission, doesn't mean you won't be afraid, doesn't mean you won't be scared, doesn't mean you won't be nervous. But just because you're scared, nervous, or anxious doesn't mean you don't give yourself permission to be there for yourself. Surrender seems difficult, And it can be, but the more we grow, the more we learn about what is true, I think it's just a little bit more easier. When you really know that I don't know how to make this work. But the beauty of it is in your not knowing how to make something work or what to do, you have a little bit of something or what you can do. And sometimes it could be, you may listen, I hear what you're saying, but I ain't got nothing. Don't do nothing. That's right, you heard me. Don't do nothing. Sit still. Sit on the couch. Take a nap. Like, dear God, Father, Mother God, I feel like I should be doing something, but I don't know what to do. I don't know. I got fired from this job and I put all my hopes. I thought I was going to retire, but right now I'm scared. I can't even tell my family. What am I going to do with I need your help. I need your help. That's you yielding. That's you releasing. When your release resides in the possibility of God. Just you take the next logical step. Surrender can look like being there for somebody who you feel like if they had listened to you, they wouldn't have gone through what they're going through. I like that. That's right. I don't know if you quoted me because sometimes I don't remember. I'm just downloading. So Pat said, she said, and it's true. She said, so the truth you need to tell is what sets you free. Yes. The truth will set you free. And it's not just about learning spiritual truth, the truth of God, but your truth. In the Sacred Yes, I don't remember, I think it's page 139. There is a section that talks about personal truth and spiritual truth. Oh, blinded by your own light. I think I just went to it. I need my glasses. Let me stop fronting. Olubayo Bandela. That's two combinations. Your testimony is so awesome and so insightful. I needed to hear this today. Thank you, Olubayo. I appreciate you. I don't know if this is it. Your personal light shines as you burn emotional debris. Yeah, I don't think this is it. Spiritual light. I won't even look for that right now. But if you check it out, oh, Olubayo, I know who you are, my sister. I know who you are because Olubayo is usually in Nigeria. Is a Yoruba name. It's mostly guy's name. So memory assumption. I know who you are now. Nice to see you. The truth, your truth. What is your truth? Sometimes we feel like we have to be God. I gotta speak the truth from an enlightened place. No, sometimes your truth is. I've tried to clear it up. I flipped up real bad. It's not flip, but you know what I mean. I flipped up. And I'm willing to deal with the consequences. It brought me to where I'm at right now. God, ancestors, my inner being, my guides, angels, universe, it doesn't matter. Help me. Help me. I'm willing to learn something different. I'm willing to call back my power, that surrender. I'm willing to call back my power. And calling back my power, calling back your power might mean you might need to quit a job. It might mean you end a relationship. It might mean you say no to people you've been saying yes to. Calling back your power might mean you might go and invest in something that you're like, I just don't think I can afford it. Calling back your power might be go ahead and pay and get and sign the contract for a new car that you think, I don't know if I can afford this on a monthly basis. You call back your power when you you're calling back your power, you're calling back God. You're yielding to so much more. And in that place, you have no choice but to have faith. They happen simultaneously, because the minute you recognize that, woo, I can't do this alone. I've tried everything. When I got back over here, I did not want to be here. I did not want to be in the UK. No. Okay, I was born here. Big deal. People said, oh, well, it could be worse. True. But whatever. And I had to make myself love myself in a country that I didn't have love for. And there's so many things that came from that experience. Things that I realized that I wasn't even aware of. How I viewed people in this country. I had to heal that. It took me to places growing up. I mean, I was talking to someone yesterday about my childhood experience. My parents were in Germany. So for the first 6 months in my mama's belly, right? I was in Germany. And then they moved to UK. 3 months later, they gave birth to me. Right? So I was in the womb, in the oven in Germany for 6 months. And then they moved to UK. And then I think 2 to 3 months, because my mom was here, she was starting to be a nurse. Dad was working with, I think it was called British Gas. And they need to go to work. They need to make money. That's why they came over here. Learn and make money. So they needed to put this baby somewhere. And what people generally do then is get a nanny. Most of the time, well, I don't know if it's most of the time, so I wouldn't even say that. But you get a nanny. The first nanny I had, my parents came to visit me. I think it's like 2 weeks. My dad said they carried me. And this was after about 3 months or so, 2 to 3 months. I remember my father told me that many, many years ago. Like, it was about 2 to 3 months. I was pissed. I was like, y'all gave me over to somebody else. I didn't say it out loud, but in my head. Never say that to my father. Nope. But in my head, I was like, that is just ridiculous. I was mad at mom. She had made her transition then. Like, why would you do that? Anyway, hope I never find myself in that situation. If I do, give me an opportunity to be compassionate. So 2 to 3 months, they gave me to a nanny. And as a baby, I cried a lot. And as a grown-ass man, I still cry a lot. Nothing has changed there. I could cry watching a commercial. Anyway, my dad said he carried me. And he's got a strong sense of smell as well, like me. So I take after him. He was like, wait a minute. I smell alcohol in his breath. And he went over to mom and told her what's happening. And he said, we're taking this child right now. He thinks the nanny, the first one, gave me alcohol because I used to cry a lot and I won't sleep. So she got my ass drunk. So I didn't need no 12 steps because they couldn't help me. I was too young to say, my name is Ade. I am an alcoholic. I'm not. She's the alcoholic that's using me. Anyway, my father said they told the nanny that I'm a mess sometimes. What I just did is playing in my head. I'm trying not to laugh. Just imagine this little infant, alcoholic. Anyway, told the nanny that they were taking me for a walk. Dad said they didn't want to tell her because she had other children that she was taking care of, and he didn't want her to take it out of them. And I was like, but when you never went back, she probably did. But I think there's a little bit more to it. So they took me. They basically just took me. Everything they brought for me to take care of me, they left there. Everything is energy. I'm sure I had some of that place of being after leaving my parents and going to a nanny for 2 weeks, and then I got yanked. Out of love, out of care, should I say. And then about 2 weeks later, they found another nanny. She was outside London. They met with her, they liked her. So my parents were in London. I was outside London with a white woman in a town where I probably was one of 5. I don't know. But I know my parents told me they stood out when they were there. Because even back in 2002, 2003, 2004, something like, 2004, 2005, when I was living in Hastings, there still wasn't a lot of black people then. So the experiences that I went through then was in the body. The body doesn't forget. The body remembers. It really does. And when I came back here, I'm about to make a confession. When I know, Pat, oh my God, for real. When I came back here, one day I was in the store. And I was just standing in line. It was during the pandemic. And I literally heard, you don't like the British white people. I was like, who are you talking about? No, I'm a lover, man. Nah. But you know, when you hear truth, you cannot deny it. Now, some of you might be saying, I understand. It's not a big deal. But it hit me in a way. It caught me off guard. Like, really? I mean, I knew I felt some kind of way about white people in this country. And I had to face that. And I thought, wow, I didn't know I carried that, because I didn't think I carried that. What I realized is, what if some of the things that happened when I was a child? Because my nanny talked about what people said to her when they saw a black child with her. Like, they might say, he's cute and blah, blah, blah. And then they would ask her later on, is he yours? And she would say, yes. And they just turned their nose up. My dad talked about being called the N-word. He talked about how he was treated when he was in Germany. My mom was catching it. And my dad was like, oh, don't get caught up in that. They made fun of them. They made fun of them for being black. There were few, maybe two, in where they lived. My dad would telling stories how they would come over to them and ask if in Africa they eat human beings. And, I take most of the things that I do for my dad, and he will mess with their minds too. So those things that was passed on into me as a baby, as an infant, that was playing out that I didn't even know. So I had to do my own personal forgiveness, to forgive myself and forgive things that were done that I know consciously or unconsciously. And then I had to embrace this country because this is where I was born. I can't hate where I was born. I mean, I can, but really, I'm projecting outwards. What I'm projecting out, I'm the one that's catching it. This is where I was born. I don't have to wear the Union Jack or sing God Bless the Queen. Whatever. For real, whatever. Maybe that's something that needs to be healed. I don't know. But right now, but I can still be grateful. And I can also be grateful that we choose. I'm not going to say this. I'm going to say it differently. I could be grateful that when they shipped my behind back over here, I was at least coming back to a country where I know that I can reinvent myself. And I'll be free to do what I've always wanted to do. I'll be free to talk about the things I've always wanted to talk about. I would be free to create things that I couldn't because I was afraid of being seen or people investigating me. And come back and start over again. I had to surrender. But here's the thing. I didn't have to surrender to have the experience. But when you give it up, you see differently. When you hold resentment, when you hold unforgiveness, when you hold blame, guilt, and shame, and God knows I felt all of that. It took me a while before I could tell people the true story. You're back here. Yeah, why you come back over here? You come back from America? It's like, yeah. And I'm like in my head, that's all I'm telling you right now because I ain't ready to tell you. And the first time I told the story in public, it was powerful. I was invited. It was a networking event. I was invited to share. My friends John and Kathy came over, and somehow the theme for that networking event just tied into my story. I don't remember what the theme was. I had about 15 minutes to tell the story. And I'm like, how am I going to tell this long ass story in 15 minutes? I told maybe about 20 minutes. And I told the story from beginning to end in the short version. And I even felt liberated. I felt free before I told the story, and even freer after telling the story. Because the things that we hold, that we judge ourselves about, that we think, what are people going to say? What are people going to do? Oh, how are they going to see me? Surrender that. Because sometimes, most times, the people you're worrying about that you think they're looking at you are busy worrying about you, what you think about them. You didn't come here to live for others, and they don't get to live twice. Their life and live through you? No. Take your power back. Let the crucifixion happen. On the other end, you're going to find you. Oh, I'm going to read this. People used to call me, they say like I'm like an evangelist. And when I was on 1-2 radio, they would say, you're like my favorite evangelist. Well, somebody used to say that. And they would use all this religious connotations. At that time, I didn't like it. But then I surrendered to that. And I feel like I am a minister grabbing the Bible, like, oh, I know which page to. I want to read this as we get ready to release this. Let's see. Oh, okay. Here's what we're going. I'm going to read this. This is page 110 from the Sacred Yes, and the chapter is "Blinded by Your Own Light." Section 2. Your personal light shines as you burn emotional debris. So this is the download that Reverend Deborah L. Johnson, Rev D, was receiving. I'm just going to read this whole, just this. Yeah, there's more, but I'll just read this part. I think. The name of your ministry is Inner Light. This is God talking to Rev D. I gave you that name at a time when your life was in an upheaval, when you were personally going through what you in your society call the dark hour of the soul. You often refer to a conversation you had with your mentor, Dr. Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith, in which he said, just let your light shine. In order for a light to shine, something has to burn. It's one of those that I had to underline. In order for a light to shine, something has to burn. Just take all of that stuff you have. Just take all that stuff that you have, let it burn. People whose lights shine the brightest are the ones who burn the most. This is indeed the truth. You are learning how to hold your personal truth and your spiritual truth in your hand at the same time. You are learning how to hold your personal truth and your spiritual truth in your hand at the same time. It is the same with the notion of light. The light that Dr. Michael spoke of is your personal light. Yes, you must surrender to the light. You must take not only the so-called bad things, but the so-called good things as well, and surrender them to the light. The more that you let go of and allow to be, the more that you let go of and allow to be consumed in the eternal fire, the better it will be for you. The more that you let go of and allow to be consumed in the eternal fire, the better it will be for you. There's more. It talks about the spiritual light, which I'm not going to read. And as I'm reading that, I'm laughing because when I thought of spiritual truth and personal truth, that's not the chapter, but it spoke to it. And then it spoke about forgiveness, surrender. I wasn't thinking, I didn't even know that. It just came to me. In your surrender, in your willing to be seen, in your willingness to show up for your own life, for what you're created to be, you find that you are in alignment. You will pick up a book and it's repeating what you've said and you didn't even plan it. You find people helping you and showing up. you find life working out for you. You find that you hold an intention about something you want to do, and you end up getting a ticket for vacation at the price that you had in mind, even though you've been talking to another agency and they're talking 700, 800 pounds. And then you find out you eventually find one for 500. It's like, that's what I had in mind. See, surrendering to the great I am, surrendering to God, to the Father, Mother, God, surrendering to something more, something higher, is really allowing your vibration to, you're allowing your vibration to rise. You're raising your consciousness. That's what I'm trying to say. You're raising your consciousness. You find that you're in sync. You're in a flow with some things. Just you wake up and you're like, oh my God, I was just thinking about that. You get a gift and you're like, I was just looking that up on Amazon. Because you're in a flow, you're constantly reminding yourself that you're worthy. As we started the show talking about this. You remind yourself you're worthy, that I belong, that yes, things have happened, and I judge myself for the things that happen, but life happens. That's what happens in this human incarnation. I am more than what is happening. I am more than my story. I am more than my belief system. I am more than what they said about me. I'm more than being black or brown. I'm more than being white. I am more than whatever. I refuse to let anybody steal my joy. And here's something I want to say I don't know if I say it enough. The things that challenge you the most, the thing that you call a flaw, your insecurities, they are the perfect combination to opening what is great about you. They're like a password. Because what you judge about yourself, oh my God, that's what makes you unique. That's what makes you unique. So when you burn your judgment, you surrender. This is me. When you burn the story, it's like, oh my God, what are people going to think about this when they hear about my story and why did just burn it. They can still judge you, but guess what? You are free and you get to shine. And then you find that your light itself lights the path, not just for you, but for them. Sometimes they may come back and apologize. I was mean to you. But it really doesn't matter, because when you are in alignment with the divine, you can really say like JC, Father, Mother, God, forgive them because they know not what they do. They think they're treating me, they're hurting me, but they're really hurting themselves. What they think they're giving to me, they're giving to themselves. All these thoughts, all the things that they're saying about me, they're crucifying me, they're really doing it to themselves. So dear God, forgive them. And God's like, oh, I never hold any grudge. So they're already forgiven. And then they come back and ask for forgiveness. And you're like, child, please. I already forgave you. I've done shit like that before. Life is simple. We make it complicated. It's complicated because what we feel emotionally. That's why it's always easy to give someone else an advice on something. What you need to do is meditate 15 minutes a day, listen to Abraham Hicks, and that would help you. And if you do that, I'm telling you, you've been in alignment and things will just start to change. That's what happened to me. When I started to meditate, my life just changed. But sometimes we forget the part where we doubted our own truth. When we doubted the divine, when we doubted, it was like, ugh. When we didn't think we can do it, when we feel like I'm out here and I don't know. When you consciously recall the truth of who you are, and you know that you're part of a divine plan. Let me go back to that spirit definition of surrender. Surrender is where your release resides in my possibility. So when you start with the assumption that, you know what, I release, I let go, I surrender, you get to see life differently. You get to do life differently. Yes. Let me read this comment in IG from Pat. Pat said, that's what truth does. Pat said, I'm just leaving the home now. I couldn't leave this message. So glad I stayed. I've been blessed. Thank you, my dear sister. Appreciate you. And she also said, if I can slide this up, the things you burn yourself or judge about yourself. Are you asking me a question, or you're making? You said the things you burn about yourself or judge about yourself. Well, so I'm going to kind of intuitively respond to that. The things you judge about yourself, you are free to burn it. Go ahead and burn it. Just burn that shit up so you can have a shift. The stories that you carry about, well, I struggle with belonging because my childhood, my parents, my mom, I was in my mama's stomach when I was 6, and then 6 months old, and she moved to UK, and then she gave me over to a nanny, and she gave me alcohol, and now it's hard for me to really trust women because the women in my life at a young age weren't really there, or maybe they were there. I was separated from my biological mother. I can't believe that happened to me. Why did my mother do that? It happened. But I can burn the story of this is why I can't really find anywhere. I mean, I've done those. Like, I know why. Really, the story was how I feel like I see where the origin of my looking for where I belong. America feels like home, particularly Atlanta. It feels like home. I don't know why. It could be a past life thing. I don't know. But because of my journey, how I view what happened when I was a child, and just from this perspective, because I'm not seeing it from that. I just had a flash of a ritual I did, but I won't go into that. There's no time for it. But from a perspective of that baby, I'm not really seeing that bigger picture. But the story, my interpretation of what happened then, has actually been part of my life work. My mission is to help people find belonging within themselves. That's why I can say so passionately, sometimes we're trying to fit in, but you can't fit in until you learn to stand out. You got to stand out. You got to know what you bring to the table for yourself. You got to know your story, whether you're judging it or affirming it. And when you know that, some things make me uncomfortable. When you know that, I'm clear about this. Some things I'm not quite sure. When you know that, and it's not at some point you have to reach, it's just know what you know. When you know what you know, then you can really show up. And then you can fit in. You become part of the master plan. If you're trying to fit in, you're not sure what shape are you. Are you the one that's supposed to cook the food? Are you the one that clean after people eating? Are you the one that's supposed to pick people up from the train station? You don't know. But when you say, I love driving, and the community goes, we need somebody who can pick people up before they can finish. Like, who needs to be picked up? Which airport? And then from that place, I like driving. You're driving, and driving feels like a meditation. You're feeling joyful. It's like, I got the space to myself, no noise. I'm so glad I'm not in that place where people are cooking and arguing and talking over the food. You know I don't like people talking over the food. And then you meet somebody you never met before, and they tell you how grateful they are because you picked them up, because you have learned to find out who you are. You embrace your own story, your personal truth. You stand out, and now you can fit in. So my work is really helping people belong, supporting people, belonging, that you belong. I don't care what your experience has been. This is my story. So what could be looked at as, oh my God, my mother, because she was going back to work and learn and go to school, she gave me to an end. Why would any mother do that? I could do that, but the gift that I'm getting from it is ongoing. So yes, burn the judgment. Burn. I don't like doing that. I think just burn it. See yourself putting it in the fire. Talk about it. Part of burning is talking about it. Put your passion behind it. Your passion will burn that shit up, and you will experience a shift. Okay. Pat said, this is very interesting and really helps me. And it helps me understand my son's perspective too. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. All right. Oh, you are amazingly open and honest. Is that because you have chosen to be honest with yourself? Is this truthful living? Dr. Naeem Akbar wants me to do another show. But yes, I have found I suck at lying. And I realized the way to set myself free is to tell the truth. Telling the truth doesn't mean I tell people everything about me, but when it's time to have the conversation, I have had some uncomfortable conversation with my partner. Speaking of being honest, my fiance. Yes, moving right along. Ooh, I find that I am not really good at telling a lie. I'll tell you a story to just give you an idea what that is, and we're going to release this conversation. When I was in secondary school in Nigeria, yeah, you heard me right. Get over yourself. Just listen to the story. This story. When I was in Nigeria, I was going to say, my friend we lived in the same apartment. It was a 3-story apartment there right beneath us. Yeah, there are apartments in Nigeria, believe it or not. I lived in London, Lagos. Anyway, so his name is Chesson, and his sisters and my sister, we went to the same school. And one day after school, Chesson and I decided that we wanted to play football, soccer, for those of you in America. And normally we know that after school, we need to take our you-know-what home. So our sisters, they were going home and we wanted to play. So we told them to go ahead and tell them, what can I say, Rashida? I'm sorry. We told our sister to their parent was going to be home and tell them that we lost a book or a bag and we were looking for it. So that's the message we sent home to Chesson's parents, who might as well be my parents, because growing up in Nigeria, neighbors were your parents too, as well. So we played football and we had a great time. And we went home, and when we got back home, we saw Chesson's dad. And he sit there, I'm sure he knew, now that I'm thinking about it, he knew something ain't right. And he said, so what happened? How come you guys are coming back late? And I think the expression got me all shook up. So I said, I said, we were looking for a bag or book. I can't remember which one it was. And then we were playing football. We were not supposed to tell him that. I told him. And he said, that's exactly what you were doing. I was so mad at myself. I now remember one time in UK here, we went to a pirate station. Pirate stations were radio stations who didn't have license, but there were stations who were catering to black people because the popular stations there were just they're catering to white people. That's just the way it is, like it is in America. So there were pirate stations, which were like, oh my God, black people in this country can tell you about that. Oh, Rock to Rock. There were so many of them. Kiss FM. And we went to do an interview there with my former wife. And it was a pirate station. I was a little bit nervous. And while we were talking, I said something. And the host looked at me like, you're not supposed to say that. Because it was something, because a pirate station, you don't want people to know where it is. And my former wife said to me, she said, boy, you don't need to put yourself behind something you don't believe in. And I'm like, that's true, because I'm going to out myself. So that long story to say, yes, I think part of me is who I am. And I think of Ifa tradition. My destiny is to tell the truth. So when you say, is that because you have chosen to be honest with yourself? Yes. And I think my choosing to be honest with myself is because I came here as a deliverer of truth. And I can't be doing this work and supporting other people and not tell the truth to myself. And I believe the fact that I can tell the truth and be honest with myself and share my story sometimes gives me the what's the word I'm looking for? Access to connecting with people that I work with, to be able to hold them when they're in that place of judgment. I've had people say to me, one of the things I love about you is, they said in different ways, that you have what it takes to have people look at the shadow, the darkness, and not be afraid. And I would say that's not something that I came up with intellectually. I think that's in my spirit. I believe that's in my spiritual DNA. That's in my spiritual DNA. I came here to be that. So I have a responsibility. That's right. And the more honest I am, the more clear I am. The more I can feel like, God forbid I come in and make up stories. It's not my nature. I don't even need to say that. Everything I shared here, I stand by. Later on, I may listen to the show or remember something I said and say, well, that's not completely true. I used to do something called afterthought, where I'll come back and say, well, I said this during the show, but I'm not doing that at the moment. I may return, I don't know. Go back to doing that. But last week, I corrected some things that I said 2 weeks ago. It's like, that's not the whole truth. I think we owe it to ourselves. The truth will set us free. And that's the personal truth and the spiritual truth. What's the spiritual truth? That you are loved, that you're perfect, that you're whole, that you're worthy. No matter what, you're worthy. Whether you did something intentionally to another or by accident, you're worthy. Whether you know you're worthy or not, you're worthy. Whether you don't know how to love yourself, you're loved. Whether you are practicing being more loving, you are love in action. Your personal truth is, sometimes I get nervous when people get close to me. I want to hide. That's your personal truth. Sometimes people get on my damn nerves when they're so close-minded. That's your personal truth. Tell yourself the truth. And when you tell yourself the truth, you set yourself free. And when you're free, you give other people permission to be liberated. Thank you, Kwali. I appreciate you. I appreciate all of you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your thoughts, your comment, for listening, for sharing the show. Share the show if you haven't shared it. Share the share the show. We want the world to be clear, right, Rashidi? I'm doing too much. Rashida. We want the world to be clear that we have more power than people who are scared. You have to be scared to bomb another country, to kill another human being. You have to be so scared to think you're better or more superior than another. You have to be so scared to say you can't give water to people who are in lines while they're voting. You have to be so scared, a little like, oh my God, they're going to get me. You are getting you. And you're not even allowing yourself to have a peace of mind. Okay. Till next, Reverend Brother. I like that, Jackie. Yep. Let me release this conversation because I am full of myself and I love it. We all need to be full of ourselves. And when we're so full of ourselves, we can literally blow BS out of this planet. Instead of blowing people up with a bomb, we'll blow them up with some truth. I love you. I bless you. I appreciate you. And I thank God for you. Rashida said, yes, those men create a fear-based society based on fear and hate, indeed. And because of what they did, some people would say, I would never forgive somebody. And then they carry that revenge. They carry that spite in them. And it keeps multiplying. This ain't got nothing to do with God. It's about the choice. It's about our awareness of who we are. And at the same time, I can't judge people for I can, but I don't even have time. There's some things that I feel so strong about that I know, okay, it's time to release that. Because when I talk about the government and the greedy people in the world, I get passionate about it. But you know what? One with God is a majority. That's what we need to come back to. I love you. I bless you. I appreciate you. And I thank God for you. Thank you, Amal. And for those of you who are on IG, if you want to send a donation, you can do PayPal. You can do paypal.me/Ade, ADE, and ANIFOWOSE. Or you can just do Ade at lifecoachade.com. You see, I did my name differently. I'm working with myself. Ade at lifecoachade.com. Cash App is # which sometimes people in America can't find it for some reason, but just let me know. # life coach Ade and Venmo Ade dash Anifuwishi. Thank you for being here. Go forth, multiply the consciousness, and let's turn this out. We are born for such a time as this. We have to do the opposite. That's right. We have to be the light that we want to see. We have to be the truth. We have to be it. Actually, you don't have to do nothing. Don't have to do nothing. Just show up. Be you. That's good enough. And you're welcome here. Be who you are. Thank you very much.